History Project interview of Lillian Nutter Willey on March 22nd, 2018 at Lillian's home in Waterford. The interviewers are Donna Heath and Lynn Troy. Well, good morning, Lillian.
Good morning.
We'd like to know about your birth and your home.
Well, I was born in the Bradlock Hospital. My folks lived in Barnet, Vermont. And I came to Waterford when I was 3 years old. And I've been here ever since, more or less.
And where did you live here?
I lived down to used to be the minor farm. My father bought the big minor farm. And I lived there for many, many, many years. And then I married Bernard, and this is where I ended up, Bernard Willey.
Now, where is the farm located?
It's on the other side of the mountain from where I live, right here in Waterford. Yeah, I believe it's called the Dreamcatcher home today.
And when you lived there, it was the Nutter
It was
farm.
the Nutter farm, yeah. It was a big, beautiful, beautiful place when my folks bought it. It had a big, big brick house that had to be taken down as time went on. But I lived there many, many years. I had a horse, and I rode most every day. I had to get up in the morning at 5 o'clock, go out and round up the cattle. And then I'd bring them in, and I'd either ride some more that day, or I'd stay around, and then I'd help with the farm work, and I stayed on the farm. And then later on, my father built me an apartment upstairs, which I lived in for many years, until I met Bernard.
So you were an original cowgirl.
Yes, I guess you could say that.
So it was a dairy farm?
Oh yes, a big dairy farm. I think my father had probably at one time 200 cattle. And the farm had 600 acres at one time. And my folks lived there for many, many years. My mother had big gardens, always had a beautiful garden. She was very good at flowers. She always had beautiful flowers, and we practically ate out of that garden. But on the farm, of course, you have your own meat as well, and we did. So I can say that I lived very good.
And did you have siblings?
Yes, I have 4 children, 3 girls and a boy. Bernard Jr., Paula, Bonnie, and Sandra.
Well, these are your children. What about your brothers and sisters?
Oh, my siblings. Okay. Oh, yes, I do. I have 2 sisters and a brother. Joyce, Ruth, and Shirley Belmore, and Herbert Nutter. And they all live on the other side of the mountain. My sister Joyce passed away about 3 years ago, but her husband still lives there. There was a fire and burnt the schoolhouse that had been made into a home. And after that, he bought a real nice house, moved it in, and he's still there. So.
Was there a fire at the farm as well? The barn?
Yes, way back when I was a child, there was a big fire. It was a huge burn on that farm, and it was hay combustion. And it burnt one evening, and it just burnt to the ground. They got most of all the cattle out. I lost a few cats, but that was the end of that barn. And then my father had the barn built that's still there, a beautiful big red barn. And well, I always helped on the farm. I always helped do the hay in. And anything else that needed to be done. I guess I was really a farmer, and I loved it.
Including milking the cows.
What's that?
Including milking the cows.
No, I didn't milk the cows. Dad always took care of that. But I did round them up.
Did you drive tractor?
Yes, oh yes. Yeah, I was great for the tractor and the team. At one time when I was young, I used to drive the team to do the side delivery raking. Yeah. And I always liked anything to do with the horses. I was right there.
You belong to a riding club?
No, not at that time.
Not at that time.
No, and there was nobody else that did ride. Nobody, no neighbors. I was a loner, but I used to ride all over those mountains, 600 acres of them.
So you just grew up and you taught yourself how to ride?
Oh, yes, I did. Dad got me a horse. Of course, there was no living with me until I had a horse. Dad always gave me a nice horse. But I had to work on the farm to help take care of it. I had to get up in the morning, get the cows rounded up, and I had to work on the farm. But I loved the farm. I was happy there.
Did you have grandparents?
Yes,
at
I
the
did.
time? Did
I
they
did.
live there too?
My grandmother, Stewart, lived with us for a short while until she passed away. And it was Grammy Stewart, and there was Grandpa and Grammy Nutter, and they lived in Barnet. So I never knew my Grandpa Stewart. He was gone before I was old enough to see him.
And what was the status of electricity in those days on the farm? Did you?
My folks had their own electricity. They had, I think it's called the Delco plant. There were big batteries downstairs, and they'd have a motor they'd run every now and then and charge them. So my folks had electricity.
And refrigeration too. Then.
Yeah, they had they did, but they also had what they call the ice box. My father would cut the ice in the winter and store it in the ice house and cover it with sawdust. I used to go up and sit and put my feet in it in the summertime, and that's where the ice came from.
What about heating your house?
It was always heated with a wood.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Dad always had plenty of wood around, heated with oil. And I remember one night it was 40 below. It's cold. And Dad stayed up all night and took care of the fires, and we were nice and warm. And yeah, we got through it fine.
Well, tell us about your mother's cooking. You said she was a great
Oh, my
cook.
mother, she made really good meals. We had at least one good meal a day. Noontime usually was our dinner. And then we'd have good meals throughout the day too, but that was the big day. And she always had gardens, as I was saying, and nice gardens. And she really was a cook. She could make just about anything. I never really got that. I could make it well enough so we could eat it, but it wasn't like my mother's. I guess I was more of a horse lady and an artist.
Great. Oh, you started art early.
Oh yes, we used to sit on the front porch and paint the mountains, and I was probably 14 or 15 years old.
Already showing.
And my mother always said she could never let me have a crayon because the walls would catch it. Uh-oh. Yeah, so.
Well, what about school?
Well, I went to the West Waterford school right there by the farm. It's just a short ways, and I always walked to school and back from school. And I had some really nice teachers. I remember one especially. Her name was Mrs. Humphrey, and she lived on Central Street. I happen to remember that. And I used to go home with her at least one night a week and spend the night with her and come back the next morning with her. And we really had a great friendship, she and I. And I had other good teachers, too. I had Mrs. Ailes, had Mrs. Simpson, which used to live up at the end of the road up here, my road. And she used to take us to the movies once in a while, which was a great thrill back in those days.
Was it a one-room?
It was a one-room school, yeah. And there were anywhere from 5 to maybe 7 children.
5 to 7.
Isn't that a small
That's
group?
really-
It would be just me and another family, generally. When I first started in the first grade, there was some older children. And it might have been as many as 8 or 10 children at that time. But they all grew up, moved on, so there was just the two families. It was my little person's family and my family.
Are you the oldest, or where do you
I'm the oldest one in the family. Yeah.
Any special memories from your school activities?
Yes, we used to have what they call a Christmas party, and it was great back in those days. But what we'd do, we'd put on a little play. Everybody would learn their parts, and we'd put on a little play. We'd put up the screens. We had Curtains we could open and close, and the seats were all pushed back nicely. And it was a great thing back then. I know we just enjoyed that.
And who came to see the play?
Yeah, anybody around there, parents, of course, all came. And anybody that had any interest, we always had the seats full, as I remember. And it was great. And then I remember the box parties. Do you know the box parties?
Yep.
I remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to have those, and that was great fun.
Tell us about them. What?
Well, everybody would make up their own. Every lady would make up their own box of food. It would be nice. They put nice things in it, and you'd decorate it, and they'd put it on a table, and they'd auction it off. It was supposed to be kind of a secret who owned what box, but lots of times I think it wasn't too much of a secret. Sometimes they went for good big money, some depended on whose box it was.
It's a good fundraiser.
It was great. I enjoyed that.
And then did they open them?
Oh yes,
And
and then everybody, when they auctioned them off and they got them, everybody'd pick a spot and you'd go and you'd sit and eat with your partner.
Yeah, you had to eat with the person that bought your
That's
box.
right, you had to eat with the person that bought your box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about church activities?
Well, I used to go all the time to the White Village Church. I used to sing in the choir, and I enjoyed that. I used to like going down with Joanne Bonnet. I don't know if you know the Bonnets in Waterford, but I was a good friend of Joanne's. We went to the academy together, and we spent many, many years together. Yeah, I used to go to Lower Waterford, sing in the church choir.
And what about high school?
I went to St. Johnsbury Academy 4 years, and I enjoyed it. I didn't get into a lot of activities because transportation was a problem back in those days. My mother would have to come and pick me up, and I just sort of had to be ready to go home when school was over.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't spend a lot, but once in a while I'd stay down for a basketball game or something, but not a lot.
And it was a car, truck? What did she drive?
She used to drive the car,
Uh-huh.
and the roads in the spring, you think of these roads, well, it would be days that you couldn't get through. It would sink, practically. Yeah, so it would be days when I didn't make it in the spring of the year, but on the whole, we did.
But you weren't the only one who didn't make it.
No, I wasn't the only one, so that was a help.
Well, and then after the academy?
Well, I stayed home on the farm all summer. Then that fall, I got married.
And how did you meet Bernard? Or
I met him-
Bernard?
I met him horseback riding.
Perfect.
He had horses as well as I did, yeah, and we used to ride. And then after we were married, I moved down to the farm down in Pasumsek. He owned a big farm down there. We lived down there for a little while. Then we came up here because we wanted the children to be in the Waterford school. And so we came in, and then we had Paula. And that was our first one, yeah. And she went to Waterford school, and then we had young Bernard. And then the older girls, well, by that time they were in the academy, so they were quite a bit older.
And then you had two more.
Yeah, and then Paul and Bernard were the younger.
Who were the older ones?
The older one was Sandra and Bonnie.
Ah.
Yeah, and they went to the academy. Yeah.
And you said they live locally? Do they live?
Yes, Paul and Bernard do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Paula lives over in the Eddie Gagne home, I believe it was called. And it's a little green home off from Route 18. And it's either one of you girls know where it
I
is?
think it's the Green Street.
Yeah,
School,
that's
Green School
Yeah,
Street,
that's
yeah.
it, right in the corner.
Yeah.
There's a little green place now, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fixed it up, and it's really quite nice.
Mhm.
Then Bernard has a piece of land from my father's big farm, and he's built a nice home down, and you can see it as you go by. It sits up on the knoll, back somewhat from the road.
Mm.
It's really nice, yeah. And he has 2 children. He has Paula, Taylor, my grandchild. This is a mistake I will always make, I think. But I have my Taylor, and she's very, very good to me. She comes up and helps me with the housework at least once a week. And then I have Bernard's son. He's in the academy. He's a sophomore. And then there's Paula's two boys, Chad Galanda and Taryn Galanda. And Chad just bought a house up the road from me, just a short ways. And they fixed it up, and it's really, really quite nice. And it's nice, handy to have the grandchildren as close. So then there's my older children. My oldest daughter has 3 children. She has 2 girls and a boy, and they live in Cambridge, Vermont. And then there's Bonnie, my second one, and she lives in Lake Winnipesaukee. She has a really nice home right on the lake, beautiful. And she has a boy and a girl. And they're both married, and they both have children. So I have 4 great-grandchildren. So.
Do you see the...
I see them all
ones
quite
that-
often. Yes,
yeah.
they do. They're very good. They call real often. Yeah. My oldest daughter calls me night and morning.
Great.
And Bonnie, she calls me too real often, or texts
It's
me.
not too bad. What's that, about an hour and a half?
That's all.
That's
Yeah,
very
and
good.
she's a really nice place down there.
Yeah.
I go down this summer. I drive down, spend a few days with them.
Yeah,
And I go over to Cambridge, spend a few days over there by myself.
You get around.
I do.
When did... is it Bernard or Bernard? How do you pronounce it?
I don't know. Depends whatever you want. It's
And
Bernard.
how do you pronounce it?
I say Bernard.
Well,
But a
when-
lot of people say Bernard, so it really is whatever you prefer to use.
and he passed away?
Yes, he did 8 years ago in February. Yeah.
So did you work at all during your adulthood? Did you?
I never really did. No, I had odd jobs, and I did pretty well with my paintings. I really sold a lot of paintings. Oh, yeah, down to Wells River, the art gallery down there. And I did very well, so I kept myself in good spending money.
Well, tell us about your art. When did you get more serious about it?
Well, I was always serious about it, always. But when I had the children, they were smaller. I really didn't have the time to put into it. But then, since these last few years, I really put a lot of time into it. I go to drawing lessons twice a week, twice a month. And I go with Ed Caduck. He's an excellent artist, beautiful work, you know.
And a good teacher.
And a good teacher.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah, and I paint. I don't know what I'd do with myself in the wintertime if I didn't paint, because I paint all winter long. I don't sell a lot of work now. I give a lot of work away, birthdays but if anybody calls me and they want something, I usually come up with it. I take my table down in the spring. My table's over there. I take it down in the spring, and I don't usually put it back up till September or October. Then I go to painting. In the summertime, I take care of my own lawns. I have some big lawns here, and I mow them all by myself. Takes me 2 hours, but I enjoy it very, very much. And I used to have a lot of beautiful flowers, but not as many today. But I have a lot of lilies. I have some pictures I will show you here when you're ready.
And we'll take some pictures of your artwork, too. To put
Yes, yes, I have a lot of my artwork around. Yes.
I wanted to ask you if anybody had anybody involved in World War II in your family.
I had an uncle. He was through marriage. He was my father's sister's husband. He lived in Bangor, Maine. And I thought about that. And I think that's about the closest person I had that was in the war. Yeah.
Did you have special family events?
Holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and days like that. Yes, we did. Thanksgiving, a lot of the family would come in. And I remember we'd spend the whole day together, Thanksgiving. And Christmas, all the immediate family would come down to my folks, and we'd spend the day. Yeah.
Must have had a big table, dinner table.
She did. She opened it up. It was big. Yeah, It was good size. Yeah. I didn't have a lot of young friends back then. I lived out in the country, and I just didn't have too many. But I had a cousin. Her name was Thelma Stewart. My mother's name was Stewart. That was a Stewart. And she had a saddle horse. So we'd get together most every weekend. And I'd either stay at her place or she'd stay at mine. And we'd ride all weekend. We ride that back and forth. It must have been probably 11 or 12 miles out across there. And I'd get up on a Saturday morning and I'd take off. I remember one morning it was 10 below, but I went.
Whoa.
Yeah, but I really wasn't cold. I was really moving, and I enjoyed every bit of it.
So when's the last time you rode a horse?
Probably about 10 years ago now, when I had my knees done. I never felt secure on my horse after that. But I kept them. I had them till they were ready to be put down.
Here?
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was all fenced in.
Oh, yes. I've got my own little barn down there. Yeah. And I'd get up and I'd ride most every day. The children go off to school when they were old enough. I'd go for my ride.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I really miss my horses, but I have my cats now. I have 2 cats.
It's easier to take care of. Huh?
Yeah, they are. Everyone says you should have a dog, and I like dogs. But they're just too much work for me.
Yeah.
So I don't have any dogs. But I spend a lot of time on my artwork, as you'll see as we look around.
So you have some photos to share with us.
Yes, I do. This was me when I was 3 years old, just about the time I moved here. Would you like me to take that out of that?
No,
Okay. This is my 2 other
I'm going
daughters.
to take pictures afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who are the other 2?
Those are my 2 oldest daughters when they were little.
I remember them in grade school.
You do,
I was-
Sandy and Bonnie.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
older than they were, but
Yes,
and
then you know them. Yeah.
and Herbie
And
Yeah.
where was that, Donna?
at the new Waterford Elementary School.
Oh.
Yeah.
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 So when did that start?
57, 56,
I don't know
57?
the date. I remember it and I know all about it.
Yeah.
I remember going from the little school to that one.
I mean, that must have been quite a change.
It was.
Yeah.
Everybody-
But I thought it was a good change.
Yeah.
Way better than little school. Way better. And here's another picture of my family and the in-laws. This one is my oldest daughter. This one is my second daughter. This is Paula, my 3rd daughter. And Bernard, where's Bernard? That's Bernard, I guess. Oh, this one right here is Bernard, my son. I don't know if you can see them.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah.
Oh, well, when was that taken?
That
About?
was taken, I'm not sure. I'm really not. Oh, it might have been 95, somewhere in there, I think. Yeah. And of course, that was me. And this is a picture of Bernard myself. And that was a few years before he passed away.
What did Bernard do for work? I forgot.
Scales.
Scales?
Yeah, like little scales and great big motor truck scales. The
Oh.
great big ones, yeah.
Mm.
And that's what young Bernard's doing. He took the business over.
Oh, wow.
And I think he has sold at least 4 or 5 of them for this summer. And they are big, 140 footers.
Wow.
That's a big scale.
And what do they weigh? I mean, what is
A
what
truck,
do they? Oh,
gravel
they-
trucks,
oh.
mostly. Yeah, gravel field, yeah.
Now you were telling us about Bernard's, your husband's, town involvement.
Yes, he was a select man. He was on the school board. He was on the adjustment board. And if there was any other boards, he must have been on it.
And you steered clear.
Yeah, I thought one politician in the family was probably enough. But I like being around people, so I do get out. I'm very active. Yeah. And this is another picture of Bernard when he was with someone, representative or something, that tells on there. It was in the Caledonian.
Uh-huh. Good that you laminated it.
Yes,
Protected.
I noticed somebody did do that. I don't
Yeah.
remember how that came
Yes.
about, but
Very-
someone did it. Yeah. Now this is the Nutter Farm when my folks bought it. That's not any of us sitting out there. That's someone else. That's the old miner farm.
Beautiful.
Isn't it a beautiful
Yeah,
place?
it's a gorgeous
Well, when I moved there, they didn't have those trees. Those trees were gone. But the place looked just like that. Wasn't it a beautiful place?
It is. Now, is the current house on the same location?
Yeah, everything, yeah. But that's the big brick house that had to come down. Once brick begins to move, it goes. So it had to be taken down. I remember when I was a child, I used to run the front of those porches from one end to the other just as fast as I could go with a tricycle.
Now, did it have to come down while you were living there?
Yes, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it did. It started to fall, pieces of it would go, and it just had to go.
So what did your family do while the house was being taken down and the new one being built?
No, this was not anything new built. It just kept the white part.
Oh.
That's what's there today.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Just the brick part went down.
Gotcha.
No. Let's see. Well, let's see what else. You might see some pictures of
Your horse.
my horse. Yes, that's one of mine that I raised and trained. He's one of my last ones. He was a beauty.
Looking horse.
And this is another picture of him. I'm writing him.
What's his name?
Aerodon.
Oh.
That was his papers. On his papers.
What was his barn name?
Well, I used to call him Arrow. And this is a picture of my mother and father and my daughter, Paula, and her husband, Kevin Galander. You must know Kevin. He's in quite a bit of things in Waterford.
I don't know him. I've heard the name.
Yeah, Kevin Galander. Yeah, that's them. Yeah, when they were married. They had the wedding here.
Oh,
Yeah, it was right here. We had a big red carpet came down the stairs there, and the chairs all sat here, and it was all fixed with flowers up front. So it turned out it was a beautiful wedding. And then we had the tables all set up over here for the lunch.
And you're lucky it was a nice day.
It was a beautiful, it was hot, but it was beautiful. Yeah. And this is my father and me when I was a child. And this
and
is
your
me.
father's name was what
Francis. Yeah. That's me. I'm on my Morgans.
Oh boy.
I used to show her. She was a real show horse.
you used to volunteer or work at the Caledonia Fair. I remember you being there in
yeah.
that little building right next to the
That's
horses
right.
were.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
And Bernard was president of the fair for 18 years.
Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. He liked politics. He liked working with things like that. Now this is a picture of what it looks like here in the summertime. Looks some different.
Beautiful.
And that's the lawns I take care of. And it was lilac time. See the lilac out back? Yeah. Now this is a picture of myself and my second daughter. That's Bonnie.
That wall's not near here.
No, that isn't. That was taken down to Lake Winnipesaukee, up on the mountain.
Near her house, huh?
Yeah. No, it was up on a mountain.
Oh.
With a great big beautiful mountain down there. Yeah. I forgot what they call that mountain. It has a special name. But I think I've forgotten. This is my wheelbarrow in the fall.
Full of mums.
Mums, yeah. And this is another picture of it.
Beautiful.
This is my little round tub out here. That's what it can look like.
Well, I do enjoy these because I drive by here a lot. So
You ever see my stuff?
all the time.
Yeah,
I
well,
do
good.
love it. You have a green thumb too.
Well, I did have.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to have beautiful flowers all around here. People used to say, you know the house up in Waterford with all the flowers. And this is another one. And this is what the garden looked like in the beginning, before they really got the blooming. That's another one. This is a...
And the deer don't eat your lilies?
Hmm?
The deer don't eat your lilies?
No, they don't. I've had them come in and eat my rhododendron in the fall of the year. Eat the blossoms, you know what's going to be the next year. I've had them do that. And they are very friendly here. not unusual. Look right out and see them anytime.
You're lucky they don't eat you.
And that's a little plant on the front porch.
Pretty.
And this is a little bit of my painting. Again, I make my own cards. And that's my Easter cards.
Adorable.
Mm.
And what, is that oil paint?
Oil, yeah,
Uh-huh.
I do oils.
Uh-huh.
And this is our little place in Florida.
Oh,
We have a place in Florida.
well, when do you go there?
I go in November. I stay for 2 weeks as long as the children stay. When they leave, I come home with them. They always say, why don't you stay? I said, no, I'm going home and I'm going to paint this winter and I'm going to be with my family.
Great.
Yeah, that's all I have of these pictures, but I have a lot of paintings I'm going to show you.
Well, we'll take some pictures of those and put them in the archive as well.
Okay.
Is that how you'd want to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Stills? Okay.
Yeah.
And another thing I guess maybe I'd like to bring up, you remember you probably remember the Moore Dam being built?
Sort of. My father
Yeah.
had to help dig up the graves and move them.
Oh, yes, I remember that very well.
Yeah.
I remember up at Waterford. Do you remember what it looked like up there?
That I don't remember.
I remember very well. There was a beautiful white church. There was a cemetery. And I remember there being some big posts at one time. There apparently had been a bridge across the Connecticut River there. But it wasn't there then. But I remember the houses. I remember it all up there. I remember moving there, as I was talking about the cemetery. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you must remember the boys drowning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those boys were very close to my family.
Mm.
Very close.
Yeah.
There was Roger Young and two young boys.
Two Youngs.
Yeah, and one Powers, Carl Powers. That
Yeah.
was a very, very sad thing.
They have a very nice cemetery stones where the boys are buried. So all three of them are together.
Isn't that
And
nice?
they've planted a big bush, flowering bush right in back of them.
Oh.
It's beautiful. I just discovered it a couple summers
where
ago.
is that?
It's
'Cause
in
my
the
husband's buried over there.
Riverside Cemetery.
Yeah.
It's the further gate.
Okay, you
and-
go up this way. I come up the gate.
Yeah.
And my husband's burial is right there in the corner,
Oh.
right beside the fence almost.
Oh,
And you
really?
drive out through and then you come back around. Is it down in that area where the boys are? Or?
But you go that upper gate and go
Yeah.
in, and then look to the right.
Okay,
And one of
look to the
those
right.
one of those rows is right there on the edge.
Okay,
There's
I
a
will
big
look
big
for that.
bush. Yeah.
I may have seen it and just forgotten, but I will look
Yeah,
for
it's
it.
beautiful. Yeah, they
Beautiful,
did a nice
yeah.
job with that.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So,
Well,
I don't
is
know.
there anything else that crosses your mind that you want to tell us
I
about your
can't think of too much of
life
anything.
here?
Not really, no. I used to do most anything that happened down to White Village. I'd always take part in it, and I know we had box suppers down there, and I spent a lot of time down that way at one time. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, we'd love you to come to the Historical Society meetings.
I will sometime. How do I know when they are? Where is it in the Caledonian?
I don't know if it
I never
is.
happened to see it. If I did, I didn't pay any
The,
attention.
We should put it in. You know where the Pooler's Insurance on Mondays.
Yes, I
That's
do.
where we should start putting something
Yeah,
in.
that would be
maybe.
good, because I read those.
It's the third Wednesday at 6:30 at the library.
The third Wednesday.
fourth.
But during
It's
oh
the
fourth
Fourth
oh, sorry.
Wednesday. Yeah.
The fourth
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday's a big day for me. That's when I have my drawings.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I go to West Barnet many times down there. The senior meals, oh, they have the best. Yeah, oh, they have the best.
Worth going all the way over there for that. Is that where your family's from, West Barnet?
No, not really. I have a real good friend from Monroe, and she started me going to it. Esther Chase. The Chase is in Monroe. They have a big farm down there. And she went to it, and I started going, and I have such a good time. There's a group of us that sit at one table, women mostly, but once in a while there's a husband or two. And we have a very nice time. I go down there. It's on Wednesdays and Friday mornings. I usually go to that, if I can. I don't always, but I try. Yeah,
Well, it's great you're on the go.
I do. I keep going. I really do. Either painting or going, one or the other.
And how old are you?
I'm 88. I'm going to be 89 in August. Yeah.
Great.
I I keep going. I'm able to drive my own car, thank God. Yeah, and I have other things going on too. Every now and then we go to, my friend and I will go to something at the Fuller Hall or up to Linden State. They have a lot of good things up there going on. And we go up there occasionally. Yeah.
Did you tell us your birth date? August, you said?
18th.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for sharing
it's-
your life story with us. We
Tell you
appreciate
the
it.
truth, I've enjoyed it.